Hello my friends, this is Levi Payton, the Positive Film Buff, here to give you another fantastic video, the second one done in a visual manner. Now, this video is actually going to involve me reviewing a movie I already spoke about on YouTube before, but because of the new ways I did my review of The Lion King, I began to think that I should talk about some of my favorite movies in the exact same way I did with The Lion King, even movies I spoke about before. Anyway, let's get down to business. As evidenced by those props on this table, I think it's obvious that I am a huge fan of Star Wars, which I consider the greatest story of all time in the world of film. Since the release of Star Wars in 1977, created, written, and directed by George Lucas, that movie practically exploded and changed the world of filmmaking forever. It spawned two equally successful sequels, forming the original trilogy, and years later, from 1999 to 2005, it created a prequel trilogy that took the original story in a new, interesting angle. Years after its release, Disney bought the company that created Star Wars, Lucasfilm, in 2012, and the one who became the CEO of Lucasfilm was Oscar-nominated producer Kathleen Kennedy, famous for producing some of the greatest films of all time. Can we get a list of some of those movies? Their first order of business? Create a sequel trilogy that fans have long since imagined and waited and wanted. A trilogy that had gone on from 2015 to 2019. And I'm not gonna lie, the entire sequel trilogy, in my opinion, is my all-time favorite Star Wars film. That's right, for years, I used to have one Star Wars film as my favorite, but I've come to realize that all three films in the sequel trilogy each have a lot of truly amazing things that it's hard to pick one as my favorite, even though for a long time one was my favorite. So all three of them tie as my favorite Star Wars film now. And I'm gonna use this new style of video making to talk about those three films again. Starting with the first one, The Force Awakens. The first time I saw The Force Awakens was on its midnight screening, the first midnight screening I've ever been to, and it was one of the best cinema experiences I've ever had. I've watched Star Wars for a long time in the comforts of home, and now I got to see a brand new installment in a cinema. Something I'd never thought would ever happen. With J.J. Abrams as director, and the writers creating a brand new original storyline rather than just adapt a story from a series of novels, The Force Awakens looked like the most exciting big movie I could ever see. 30 years after the events of Return of the Jedi, the galaxy has once again been threatened by a new form of Sith/Empire, called the First Order, a new army of villainous stormtroopers and bad people led by the villainous Kylo Ren. Together, the First Order is laying waste to the galaxy, and the rebels, now called the Resistance, are powerless to stop them. But new hope comes in the form of three different people: Rey, a female scavenger currently living on the desert planet of Jakku; Finn, a redeemed and former stormtrooper; and Poe Dameron, a member of the Resistance. Together, those three people embark on a new mission involving Luke Skywalker, a map, and a droid called BB-8. And alongside old allies that include Han Solo and Chewbacca, they together set out on a mission to fulfill their goals, stop Kylo Ren and his stormtroopers, and once more restore peace and justice to the galaxy. First of all, before I get into the really great stuff, I just want to say, seeing those old characters on the big screen again brings a smile to my face. Even though they look older, Han, Luke, Leia, and others never looked different. They look exactly the same, they act exactly the same, and they're same actors from the original trilogy, Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, and Carrie Fisher, are back to reprise their roles, and it is extremely welcoming. Seeing them on screen for the first time since 1983, as well as other characters like Chewbacca, C-3PO, and R2-D2, makes me, and everybody else who watched the movie with me the first time, smile and whoop in joy. And I'll tell you this right now, many of them have major parts in the movie, and that's what makes them enjoyable to watch as they have been in the original trilogy. I was also happy once again to hear the score, composed again by the legendary John Williams. His music is slightly different and has a kind of music I don't think I've heard before in any Star Wars movie, but the best thing is the original themes are still kept in and leave you humming, and the new music is equally wonderful. Okay, let's talk about the new stuff, because honestly, there's quite a bit to talk about. The new characters in the movie, they really fit Star Wars like an easy-to-make puzzle piece. The three main characters, Rey, played by Daisy Ridley, Finn, played by John Boyega, and Poe, played by Oscar Isaac, they're all in every enjoyable light a character should be seen in. They are emotional, they are determined, and they are actually funny as well. Every enjoyable light. The character of BB-8 is actually a pretty cool and funny little droid. He has a tiny face that looks like R2, but has the body of a moving ball that moves around a lot. What makes BB-8 so cool is that all of his features, beeping noise, moving face, and moving body were all real and not CG. He was pretty much a moving practical effect, a marvelous combination of puppeteering and animatronics. I can easily say this is another big achievement in movie special effects. The villain, Kylo Ren, played remarkably by Adam Driver, is actually one of the best villains I've seen now in Star Wars. His plot is really diabolical, his voice and look is intimidating and fright-worthy, and what he does is completely unpredictable. In fact, Kylo Ren is one of those primary villains who is extremely conflicted all throughout, even when he commits a lot of evil acts. His motive in this film is mainly to seek the strength to overcome the pull to the light side and continue being in the dark side. A pretty interesting villain motive, if you ask me. All the other new characters in the movie, hero and villain alike, are also great, all played by a very stellar cast. Two characters especially stand out, Maz Kanata and Supreme Leader Snoke. They both have great designs, great personalities, and got great actors to play those characters through motion capture. Lupita Nyong'o as Maz and Andy Serkis as Snoke. These are just other great motion capture roles and characters that really blow my mind. Now, I'll address the elephant in the room. The one thing in the movie I found a little odd was the role of one of the film's new villains, Captain Phasma, the silver-chromed commander of the First Order Stormtroopers, played by Gwendolyn Christie. She was hyped up as one of the new major villains of the movie, appearing in a lot of merchandise and posters surrounding the film, but unlike all the other villains featured in the film, her role is pretty much minimal, and Phasma never got a moment to truly shine as a villain in this movie. I'm fine with the role she had, but every time I see this movie, there is a part of me that wished she had a slightly more bigger part in this film. At least bigger than the screen time she had. The action, both the battle sequences on air and on the ground, and the lightsaber duels, is completely upped in the whole movie. For years, I have watched all action sequences in the two Star Wars trilogies. Every film that gets released, the action and visual effects are upped a bit, and this movie is no exception. Talking about the visual effects, this is one of the few blockbusters today that I'm seeing the visual effects team mix it all up, with real practical effects being used over CGI, but still having a perfect compromise between the two. And the story is extremely impressive and a mind-blower, especially coming after a movie that really appeared to tie up all the loose ends. Everything that happens in the story is great. Some elements make me smile and cheer, and others make me think, wow, I cannot believe that happened, and in a good way, because I was totally invested in the story the whole time. Star Wars The Force Awakens succeeded as an awesome blockbuster, a worthy entry to the Star Wars saga, another great movie to add to J.J. Abrams' collection, and becoming the best movie of 2015. The story is beyond awesome and mind-blowing, the new stuff is wonderful, and all the old stuff from every Star Wars movie, great battles, laugh-out-loud comedy, wonderful music score, and all-around great characters is all there in this movie. And it also goes to show that when it's in the hands of Disney, Star Wars can be just as brilliantly magical as it was in the past. But this was only the commencement of a beyond epic story that can actually serve as a brilliant continuation of a story that we long thought had ran its course a long, long time ago.